Attitude towards the ad model. This is the fifth model, overall understanding of the attitude. So advertising influences consumers' attitude towards the brand. So this talks about only about the advertising. Yes, marketing, communication, advertising does impact. So how this happens? Consumers comes to acquire various feelings and judgment about the ad after the exposure. After I get an exposure, certain judgment, certain feelings comes into me. So when Cadbury moved to आज कुछ मीठा हो जाए, it evoked that feeling. यार every time sweet क्या करना है यार, आज कैडबरी ट्राई करते हैं, आज पहली तारीख है यार, let's celebrate, got a salary. So पहली तारीख को जनरली सैलरी का वो था. So that's why it created that positive this thing, thank you campaign by Cadbury. Yes, I have gone and done that to my service provider. So but then for that I have to acquire it. And so advertising does influence. That is a judgment that comes from the experience or the exposure that I have about the advertisement, and then I form my attitude. This influences the attitude to the ad and the belief about the brand. So when this thing happened and when I saw the advertisement and the exposure that I got, my attitude or my belief towards the brand got strengthened. Okay, here is a company or the brand understands us better, understands India better. Okay, this consequently affects the attitude towards a brand. So I consider it as my family brand. Whenever there is a need for a Cadbury, the name comes to mind is Mondelez Cadbury. Okay, so that's what is the crux of it. That attitude towards the ad model has a exposure-led attitude formation that takes place. And when I get exposed to a message, then I gradually build my judgment, my attitude towards the brand. I accept the brand, and then I get drawn towards the brand. Even today, say when the pregnancy kit or pregnancy pill kind of advertisement comes, it is still a kind of a reluctance there, to accept, because, okay, probably I am not tuned to accepting this. So my judgment there falls short. Therefore, I prefer to not build a judgment and stay away from building a judgment. So I will probably not recommend. Need for me to consume is not there, but I will not recommend either. So that's how overall advertisement related exposure and its play on your mind to form the judgment. From judgment, your affective state, which gets decided. Affective states translates into the cognitive or the behavioral state. So that's the linkage that we are trying to understand. Component of attitude, elements in attitude towards the ad model. So, okay, this gives you the idea wherein how the attitude to ad model gets exposed. So here exposure to the ad happens. So when that happens, you form a judgment about the ad, which is a cognition, feeling towards the ad, which is an affective distinct state. Okay. If judgment this thing is possible, belief about the brand gets formed. You believe about the brand, belief about the brand positive, attitude towards the brand gets developed. So I get a favorable attitude towards the brand. Same way, if you see here, after the exposure, feeling from the ad. So that's a affective state. I develop a feeling that will bring me closer to the ad. I will accept the advertisement. So my linkage with the brand, attitude towards the brand will get favorable. So that's how the overall linkage is there. You also see the cross linkage. From a judgment, I may directly go towards attitude towards the ad. From the judgment, I may form an attitude towards the ad. Instead of belief about the brand, I may form the attitude towards the ad. And if that happens, if I believe it, then my attitude towards the brand also will get favorable. Same way, feeling of the ad. If the affective component is favorable, I may form a belief about the brand, and then attitude towards the brand will get favorably poised. That will lead me to take the action. So we have overall understood the fifth model, attitude towards the ad model. So understanding this further, consumer attitude towards the ad must be distinguished into cognitive and affective aspect. Cognitive, which is thinking based, information based. Affective is a conclusive feeling development phase out of the information. Affective responses describe what we feel after seeing an ad: amused, sad, inspired, joyous. So that's what we face it. The cognitive evolution describes our judgment, the judgment about reading from the ad, whether the ad was humorous, interesting, believable. horrible, etc. So that's how we do our cognitive evaluation, while the affective evaluation will look at what we feel about this advertisement when we see that. So that's how, but overall it should reflect into attitude towards the brand. So if attitude towards the brand gets built, intention to acquire it comes in, and intention will compel me to take the action. The favorable attitude shows towards the brand after exposure is likely to veer off as we move away from the exposure. So if we do not get exposed again and again, our attitude may likely to veer off. And that's the reason why you see that most Cadbury advertisement keeps coming regularly, toothpaste, and so they keep coming. The idea is they should remain on the top of your mind. So true that the favorable attitude towards the ad does not save a poor brand. So if you have to look at it in other way, poor brand may keep doing the ads, still they will not find the favorable attitude, because overall the brand, the believability, cognitive, this thing is also not matching. My attitude towards the advertisement is not making me believe that advertisement, etc. Therefore my attitude towards the brand will never improve even if I get repeated exposure. So that also needs to be understood. The poor brand with the poor track record, poor cognitive ability, that I have a poor past experience, cannot stand to benefit, while the favorable brand coming again and again is actually building my exposure, my judgment, my attitude towards the ad becomes more and more favorable, and I do that. Repeatedly I go back to the brand. Attitude towards the ad affects brand attitude. So ultimately it leads to the brand attitude, and in that case, the preference. More case of innovation, again, that's an attitude toward, if advertisement talks about innovation, this thing, I will immediately make a judgment, I will immediately believe the advertisement, and I will immediately form my attitude towards the brand. Because somebody talking about innovative features, innovative product, etc., I am immediately hooked on to it, and oh, they have done something new. So that's why attitude towards the ad model is very important from the marketing communication perspective point of view. Okay, wherein the challenge is either you have a current favorable attitude, you have to leverage, you have a static attitude, you have to make it favorable, you have an adverse attitude, you have to change it to favorable attitude. So that's a challenge, that marketing communication. So therefore this model is useful. We know by now that the people hold attitude towards the objects. So attitudes are formed towards the object. We have attitude towards garment like jeans, soft drinks like Coke, brands Aquafina versus Kinley, etc. So there is this attitude towards the object or the product or the brand, which may be the case. What factors influence this attitude? So the question comes, what is it that is influencing this attitude? Are we influenced by celebrity endorsing it? So certain products you see celebrity coming and talking, actual celebrity or a representative celebrity. What effects do mass media like television and the newspaper have on the attitude? That's another question. People get carried away by mass media or the digital exposure. Do friend or the family member affect us? Does influencer have a role in affecting our attitude? Some attitudes are long lasting and some keep on changing. So when it comes to societal concerns, when it comes to care for the poor, etc., how the attitudes are formed, how attitudes are sustained, how attitudes have changed or changing. That's what they need to understand. Essentially, therefore, attitude formation happens due to what? Information. Information is what? Learning. Information and then analyzing is nothing but the learning process. So one need to know the learning process of its target customers. There are some sources of influence on the attitude formation. So source of the information, credibility of it, etc. also matters, and how it influences the attitude formation. So something which is coming in, say PricewaterhouseCooper or say Forbes magazine, etc., I will believe it vis-a-vis something which is coming into local magazine or a media. I may suspect, by how far this may be right. Personality affects attitude formation. Overall personality, whether I am positively poised, I am a status quo kind of a guy, I'm a negatively poised personality, etc., that will determine my attitude towards the object, the brand, the product, as the case may be. So attitude formation is a very complex aspect. At the same time, if you remain aligned to the fact that it's a cognitive, affective and cognitive state, ultimately irrespective of the 5 modules that we have understood,